Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unminding. It's lovely to see you all. Really happy to be here again this week. And Jem has a little bit of a tech issue. She is away, so she may be cutting in and out with her signal. But yeah, we'll deal with that as we go along. But yeah, it's really wonderful to be here. Last week we had, I think, over 1,800 listeners last week, which is astounding. Yeah, all in all, from the replay, I think we're something like up to 1,850 listeners. So it's so wonderful to be getting the message out and to really be sharing this understanding that we know really, really changes lives. So I'm going to ask Jem if she can come in. Are you there?
Hello, can you hear
Yay!
me? Sorry, everyone. I'm currently stood outside. I'm away for my birthday, and where I'm staying is the Wi-Fi is terrible, so I've had to sort of stand and log on to next doors. So I got slightly stressed out, and it was quite funny seeing as this is all about unminding. But yeah, welcome to another week, and it's really grateful to have you all here. If I do cut out, then apologies. Molls will take over. How are you doing today, Molls?
Yeah, I'm really good. I've had a nice day. I've chatted with some clients, and the sun's come in and out, and yeah, it's been a very, very nice day, darling. And I'm glad you've made it. I'm really glad you're here. It was quite funny. Jem and I spoke just before the call, and it's so easy. Like, I mean, I do it, she does it. Like, she was just in her head about not having anywhere to speak from, and being outside, and then she sat outside, and the birds were tweeting, and she was like, oh, actually, this isn't too bad. So it's these stories that we make up in our heads. We're always doing it, and we're always going to do it. It's just that there is an alternative when we begin to look in the direction that we're teaching you on unminding. So Jem, have you got anything to add before we start?
Well, it's very funny. I think I'm so relaxed now. I think every unminding I'm going to do outside, but 5 minutes ago it was a totally different story, wasn't it? I was like, God, how am
Yeah.
I going to be able to do this? And you just said, well, you just do it, and if it cuts out, it cuts out. There's part of me that's always wanted to get everything right, but life does not work like that. You just have to go with the flow. So yeah, I'm interested to we've got some really good questions as well tonight. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to DM me and we can take some requests at the end. But yeah, tonight's all about taking things personally or not taking things personally. Something that I used to struggle with quite a lot, and now I just don't. And that's due to learning about the three principles. And yeah, I'm sure Miles is going to explain how she sort of showed me how to get here and how we can help other people as well.
Yeah, thank you, darling. That's lovely, and I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
It's always better with you. So thank you very much. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. I hope that you feel better after you listen to what we have to say over the next hour. I'd like you to just slow down. Now we all have such busy, hectic lives. It's if you can just slow down a little bit, and whatever you're doing, if you can not do it, just stop and just take some time out from the busy lives that we lead. And I just want you to listen to me like you would listen to music. So just let it wash over you. Don't try and work out what I'm saying. Just enjoy it, and be open and listen. And I want you to leave everything that you think you know about life, about therapy, about thought, about self-help, about all of those things. I just want you to leave those at the door. And I just want you to come into this conversation as if there isn't much that you know. It's like you're coming in fresh, because it's so easy to add our concepts to things and our beliefs to things when people are trying to teach us something new, because the mind is so active, and the mind is run by the ego, so it always thinks it knows everything. So it's just that slowing down and that deep listening. So what we're going to talk about tonight is this idea around taking things personally or not taking them personally. It's something we all do. I mean, I understand this, and I can still have moments where something hits and I take it personally, but I very quickly begin to see that life actually isn't personal. Other people's thoughts aren't personal. So from the understanding of the three principles, which is what we teach here, is that thought is constantly happening to us. It's coming through. It's a wave. It's a radio wave, and we're the radio. So we're constantly receiving thought. So this thinking is coming and going and coming and going. Now, what I do know about that thought is that we are not personally creating that thought. If we were creating our own thinking, we would have amazing thoughts 100% of the day. We wouldn't choose to have some of the crazy thinking that we have. So we can detach a little bit from believing that our thoughts are true. So this is what we're pointing to, this illusion of thought, this neutrality of thought. So in this understanding, we have thought coming and going, and we have the ability to see that thought. We are consciousness. We can see thought happening. So it's this system that we play with. It's this system that we look at. We're not so interested in the content of your thinking saying anything about you. Yeah, content of thought isn't telling you truth. Thought's really interesting, actually, because what it is that we believe our negative thoughts and we don't take as much notice of the thoughts that are maybe helpful and tell us the good things about ourselves. And if we want to flip it into truth, actually all the crappy shitty thinking is the stuff that has got nothing to do with us. It tells us nothing about who we really are. And the beautiful thinking that we have, that, you know, the loving thoughts that we have, that's who we are. But we've got it so wrong. We've flipped it. We get really lost. I think the human condition is one of getting lost and not really understanding who we are. And that human condition can look like many, many, many different things. So here, where we're talking about it's not personal, it really isn't personal, because what I'm explaining to you is that thought is happening to you. Okay, so don't take your own thoughts seriously. Don't personalize even your own thinking. So then when we see that, it's very difficult to personalize other people's thoughts. It's really hard to see that someone else is saying something to me and say it's a contradiction or an attack, and if I'm taking it on board, I'm believing their untrue thinking. You know, it's so interesting. It's those thoughts that they're having aren't personal to me. They're not even personal to them. They're just believing thought that isn't true. And if you think about when someone's coming at you or attacking you, their thinking's really caught up. They're really lost in thought. So it's that calming, that, okay, step back. When you feel that yourself, if you can, step back. We can't always step back in the moment. Sometimes we get caught. But once you see that, it's really simplifies relationships, because what someone's saying, say if someone in my family is beginning to get crappy with me or says things to me or is moody with me, that would have been personal before. Before I understood this, I would have thought, wow, you know, that they're being mean to me, or that's about me, or, you know, you'd really take it on board, and then you'd maybe say something back, or you'd get the ump about it. Now what happens is that I'm like, oh, they're in a really low state of mind. The elevator of their thinking is in the basement. They can't see clearly. They're really, really caught up. And in that caught upness, they're looking at me and projecting it onto me. So yeah, obviously you don't want to stay around when someone's being like that, but you remove yourself, you wait for their mood to lift, and then everything's fine. You don't even have to talk it out afterwards. That's what I find really fascinating. Someone can have a problem with you, or you can have words with someone. If you both understand this system, afterwards you can just go, oh yeah, I was just caught in thought. I'm really sorry. And that's it. It's done. You don't have to dig into the experience. You don't have to dig into the content. So it's really interesting how non-personal our thinking and other people's thinking is. Now, why do we take it personally? often we take it personally because the other person is triggering an area where we feel we are lacking, where we feel that maybe we're being taken advantage of. There'll be some layer of something that we feel about ourselves, that when that person is saying it to us, we absorb it because it feels true, because we think like that about ourselves. Because somebody could have a go at you and say something that you really didn't believe about yourself, and you'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? But when we have that vulnerability within us, that insecurity within us, that's when it hooks. That's the areas where you feel you're lacking, that you're gonna feel it. Now, this is a interesting point, and not always easy to see, but that area where you are being triggered is the very area that you need to go to, where you're going to get the most evolution from. That point where you feel that you want to protect, that someone's saying something about you or attacking you, and you feel that vulnerability and you want to close down. That's the area that, wow, we can do work there. We can really see something there. That's the area where you are really going to get some juice from. You know, people can very easily skim over the areas where we're quite content and happy with, and they don't want to go to the areas where they may feel insecure. It's like there's a barrier of resistance to feeling that insecurity. So, oh, I don't want to feel that. I'm not going there. No, go there. Yeah, that's the spot. That's where you're going to see real change. That's where you're going to really show up, and you're going to see something differently. Yeah, and that after all, that's what insight is. You know, seeing something differently. Insight is where true change comes from. It comes from within. It's powerful. It's so interesting that when I work with someone privately, you can see that, you can observe those areas, and there you try to guide and just show gently, because you know you don't want to trigger somebody, but you gently kind of show those areas. You go to those areas, you explore those areas, and when those areas are explored with love and kindness, they're not as scary. When those areas are just seen as old thought that isn't true, there's actually nothing there. It's just something we've believed in, the illusion of the self. And actually, you're a new self constantly. If you don't bring all your old thoughts and ideas and beliefs about yourself into the moment, you're fresh. There isn't any triggers or insecurities. All of that stuff is made of old thought. This character, this self that we are, that feels so real, but is constantly changing. So when someone brings to the table an area, when I'm working with them, that they say, yeah, well, I've gone into a very dark place, and in that dark place, I get anger, and this anger feels really real, and it's like, no, it's there, but it's transient. It's not true. Let's see that. Let's go there. Let's observe it. You know, because when you observe it, you see there isn't anger waiting inside of someone to come out. There's just in that moment an angry experience, an angry feeling that's coming from thought. And then the next moment they can be, you know, free of that and happy and in their well-being. And it's like, that anger isn't sitting inside you when you're feeling like that. The nature of experience is one of flow. So it comes and goes. That the flow of who we are is constantly changing. So within that, we're going to be many different things. Within that, we're going to experience many different feelings, many different emotions, and it's just understanding that they come and go, and if someone is coming at us and projecting theirs onto us, especially if we're in a good place, we don't have to take that on board. That's not saying anything about us. If we're in a low state of mind, and the other person's in a low state of mind, that's when it appears personal. It still is not personal. Okay? It's a bit like if we have an inner narrator, and that inner narrator that voice in our head can sometimes be quite hard on ourselves. And if the other person connects with that voice, that's when we get upset. So the more that we can observe that inner narrator isn't real, that isn't personal, then the other cannot trigger in us what the feeling, the upset, because it doesn't exist anymore. We're seeing through it. Okay, so with this understanding, we see that we're all living in separate realities created by thought. We're all living in different worlds. There's 7.5 billion different worlds on this planet because we're all experiencing it via our internal system. It's coming from us. So we're all going to see it differently. We're all going to experience it differently. So when we see that all of us are coming from this place of thought and feeling, that when someone else is low, it's we can have more compassion. Don't have to be so reactionary. So again, that peacefulness, that gentleness that we uncover with this understanding is great to help conflict. It's great to dissolve the things that we really may have had problems with for a very, very long time. I mean, I believe that I used to really hold on to things and take things personally before I found this. And I literally can't. It is so difficult for me to hang on to anything like that. It's so difficult. If someone has a go at me, I'm like, oh, I just completely see it's them. Now, couldn't there be moments where I don't see that? Yes, but I bounce back very quickly. But generally, it's just not personal. You know, we're not personal to ourselves, let alone personal to anyone else. Okay, so again, bringing those thoughts and feelings, those triggers to the light to be seen as untrue, and not beat yourself up over any of it, and not to give it an identity, to see that none of it is real, is the freedom that we're talking about when we're speaking to you on these calls about the three principles. There's not a set person. There's not a set other person. You know, it's fluid, and that fluidity leads us to compassion. That fluidity leads us to understanding. It leads us to really living in a world with so much more ease than we lived before. Now, can this take time? Yeah, of course. I didn't become this in a moment. I saw the three principles, I understood them, and as time's gone on, it's become easier and easier for me to see this. I think with Gem, she'll say as well, and we've both got a lot more to see. You know, this isn't a place where you're done. It's like you've seen it, you're done. It's a constant evolution. It's constantly seeing those areas within yourself that you are caught up, that you have some old thinking and beliefs around, that you have some identity around that feels stuck. See, insecurity is just made of thought. That's it. Your insecurities aren't a solid, real thing. They're thought in the moment. You know, we've talked about this before, probably on every call, but it's so important again to point out is thought and feeling are two sides of the same coin. You have thought, you have feeling. You have thought, you have feeling. Life is constantly that. So right now I am my thought and feeling in the moment. What I'm thinking in my head, what the thought that's coming through, the thought that I'm receiving is also creating the feeling that I am. Okay? In an hour that will be true. Tomorrow that will be true. The moment that I am in is creating the thought and feeling that I'm having. Okay? So when we begin to see that, it's that fluidity of it, it becomes really easy to manage the moments where we maybe don't feel so good. Now, when we don't feel good, the mind is going to try and grab onto things because that's what the mind does. So when we have that low state of mind, that the thought system will grab and say, it's this outside of you, it's that person, it's this thing, it's never any of those things. Okay, it's just that remembrance, that moment of insight where you go, okay, I know what my mind's doing here. This is just thought. It will pass. I will get on with my day. I will get on with my life. And at some point, I will feel better. My knowing that I will feel better is so strong now, you know, and so it allows me that not to resist the moment, not to resist the feeling. If I'm feeling bad, I don't fight it. There's no point doing that. I've got no power there to fight it. All I can do is be in it and allow it to pass. Every moment is a moment of being in it and allowing it to pass. So even things like last week, that everybody was taking the losses personally. So a lot of, not everybody, but a lot of people lost money last week. And we were talking about other losses, the deeper losses, but especially around the trading, it becomes personal. People beat themselves up. They think they're an idiot. They think they've done something wrong. They think they've let people down, and it's just not true. It's not personal. This, if you could have done better, you would have done better. You were dealing with the thought that you had in the moment, and actually everything that happened last week has come to teach you something about yourself, come to teach you something about life. So depersonalizing that makes it much, much easier, because actually if you're stuck and you feel really low and you're really upset about that, losing money or whatever you may have, whatever you've lost, if you get really caught up and blame yourself, you're going to have a much harder time coming out of it than if you see that actually it's impersonal. I have everything within me I need to bounce back, and from that point I can build my material world up again. I can build my life up again. Okay, because you did it, so you can do it again. So it's absolutely obvious to me. But when we're in that low state of mind, when it looks like we've done it, it was our fault, and we add all that self-blame and that guilt and that shame on top of it, that's a really tough place to come out of. That's a really tough place to kind of build yourself out of, because you're coming out of it with quite a heavy vibe. You want to come out of it and think, okay, I'm going to dust myself off. I cannot change it. That's so important. If you can accept things, if you can accept reality, if you can accept it as it is and move on, that's incredibly powerful. Okay, it's like you're not a victim of life. You're not a victim of the market. It's like, drop that thinking. That's not gonna serve you. It's not gonna serve you in any way. It's time to take the lesson. If you've been down, be down, but come out of it. Take the lesson and move on, and see what you're made of. See that all experience is only that experience. We add the positive and negative. So we don't have to take other people personally. We don't have to take our experiences personally. We don't even have to take our own thinking personally. Everything is transient. Yeah. Everything comes, everything goes. It's so simple. The simplicity of who we are is so wonderful to see, because when we touch that, it's incredibly peaceful. The complexity, the human condition, how we get caught up is that can be a tough place. If we live there, if we just visit there, it's okay. But we don't really want to live there. And what we get to do with it when we understand the three principles is we come in and we come out. So do I live in my humanness and get caught up? Absolutely. But do I now have an understanding that reminds me of the simplicity, that I feel that I'm fundamentally well, I'm fundamentally safe, I'm fundamentally peaceful? Because when I touch that and when I know that, and I come from that place in life, and I come from my being, then everything does actually work out. Even if to my intellect is it's saying that this isn't how it's supposed to be, fundamentally I know this is exactly how it's supposed to be because that is how it is. That deep acceptance gives you such power in life. We think the power comes from the intellect and the fighting and the struggle. No. Accept it, because then everything opens up. Everything begins to change because we're not stuck in resistance. It's not stuck in our minds. We're seeing something deeper. We're experiencing something deeper. Okay, so it's so interesting to begin to see that we're not a victim. It's so interesting to begin to see that it's not personal. And that actually leads me, I'm going to read something to you. And I have a beautiful friend called Claire Diamond, and she wrote a book called Real. And in one of the chapters is, you are not a victim. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. It's so simple when we see that. It's so simple that just to see it's not other people creating your experience, that you don't need anyone's approval. You don't need anybody to tell you that it's okay. It's okay. You don't need somebody else to make it okay. You don't need someone to come and save you. You've got everything that you need within you. It's so interesting because in many ways the world is set up to teach you that you're a victim. And it just leads to a helplessness. Victim mentality is the least helpful mentality. It just creates such a spiral downwards, in my opinion. To be able to kind of see that and break that cycle and come into your own power, wow, like, what a life then. What if you really see, I'm not a victim, I can't be a victim, I'm creating my reality. That's coming from me, my interpretation, my thoughts, my feelings, my beliefs. I'm fundamentally a free being, no matter what anyone says. I have freedom. I'm alive. I have within me everything that I need to live and to thrive. Victim mentality leads you've got to survive. It's such a difference there. Do I want to thrive or do I want to survive? I know which one I want to do. I hope you guys know which one you want to do as well. So move away from that. Begin to see that and this can be tough, but it's true. Everything that looked like a bad choice that you have made, every time it looked like you fucked up, actually was exactly the right thing to happen. You chose that and it was perfect. What happens when we can see that? To see the perfection in the design of life. What happens to us then? Again, it's like the presence, peace, love, joy is awakened. Because again, we're not going, oh, that shouldn't have happened. That shouldn't have happened. Oh, why did they do that to me? It's like, no, get rid of that shit. Come into who you are. Come into your power. Know who you are. When you know who you are, you will see that anything is possible. Whatever you lost last week, you can make back tenfold. Everything is possible, but you have to believe it. You have to see it. You have to challenge your own belief system. You have to challenge your own thinking. This is what we're talking about here. The power that you are. And not an ego power, not the power that, comes from the mind that, says you're the greatest when really inside you might not feel that. Like the power of your being, which doesn't really care what you're doing as long as you're coming from that place of love and of commitment to life. That changes everything. Yeah, where are you in life? What are you committed to? I tweeted earlier, it's like you can see, forget language, you can see what people are committed to by their behaviour. What do they spend their time on? What do they spend their money on? Like, what direction are they really going in? Now look at that in yourself. Where are my commitments? Where can I be more committed to the things that I really want to experience, the things that I want? Now, that commitment is without attachment. That isn't with an attachment to I have to get that thing to be okay. It's much lighter than that. It's not like your well-being is dependent on it, but the experience that you're having is living through it. So my commitment, one of mine, is to this project. And I've come into a realization of that recently. Okay, I will be on here every Thursday evening, and I'm committed to this project, and I will be committed to it for the foreseeable future, and will do my best to share this message with the world. And I feel that it's not something wishy-washy. It's I can feel it, and then my obviously my other commitment is to my personal clients. I have clients, and it's like, I have a deep commitment to them, and it's like I will show up for them. I will do my best for them, and that means that my clients show up for me. It means that I believe OneMinding will do very well. And as I said last week, we had over 1,800 listeners, which is phenomenal. From an organic little project that started with me and Gem just jumping online one Thursday evening to this, what we've created and what has been created through us. That's because of commitment. So it's not about the result. It's actually about the commitment. The result will just happen. People tend to focus on the result, but without the commitment, and wonder why they don't get where they want to get. Like, don't worry about all the outer stuff. Come into your being. If you want to change the world, go inside. It sounds paradoxical, but it's so true. Everybody's trying to manage and change their worlds, but you're not going to do it out there, or maybe you will, but it's so much more enriching when you go in. Go find out who you are. Go deeper. There. Strip away who you're not. Challenge your belief system. Challenge all the bullshit that you think and the crap of the identity, and come further in. Because as you begin to see that, as that is uncovered, then something more powerful comes through. But it's a gentle power, again, not ego. We're not talking about ego here. We're talking about, we're not coming from a place of I want this. It's not about a want. I'm not saying I want from the Unminding project. I'm not saying I want from my clients. I'm coming from a place of being of service, of being that these are my commitments. This is what's important to me. So that's what I'm in service to. Now, whatever comes from that. I just trust that it will. That everything that I need will come because I'm committed to these things. So, again, yes, it's this is an exploration. It's an exploration of who we are. It's an exploration of self. Again, not an exploration of identity. It's not that kind of therapy. It's before that. Who are you before who you think you are? Yeah. Who are you? Who are you that the one that sees the thoughts, not the one that believes the thoughts? Who's that? What's that exploration like? What can you see when you go there? It's a really enriching, life-altering, beautiful understanding. and you begin to really see the impersonal nature of life. You see its neutrality. Now, that doesn't make it less, it makes it more. It makes it more beautiful. It makes it so much easier. Makes it so much simpler. Will you still have challenges? Absolutely. You know, Gem and I have had our own recently. You know, we've spoken about them on other calls. That's natural. That's life. We're human. We are humaning, but really we are being. And my work, the Unminding Project, and what Gem shares is all about exploring this being. So, yeah, it's we're really lucky. We're really lucky to get to share it with you, and anybody that hears it is lucky, because it's like coming home. Yeah, the home that's already there, the home that's within you, the home that will never leave you. So I'm going to see if Gem has anything to say. If she is there, yes.
Ew, I am here. And if I cut out, just interrupt me. But wow, some of that really hit home with the things that you were saying, and we spoke about it a couple of days ago. But even though I've been in this for quite a long time, I am nowhere near not where I want to be. I'm exactly where I want to be, but there is so much that I'm learning and realizing every day. Like, I have these epiphanies, and what you were talking about with the sort of victim mode, and I was mostly living that way, and I'm sure you can agree with that. And I know you've never really sort of said it to my face, but it's totally obvious to me now. You know, now I've got complete personal responsibility. I spent a long time giving myself these stories and these labels. And if you look at somebody that, you know, tells you why their life is so bad, I was giving the reason stories from years ago, you know, from when I was a child. I was like, well, this happened and that happened, so this will never work for me and that will never work for me. And when you're in that mode, yes, it makes sense, because you're telling the story of why you're fucked up. But when you see it for what it is, it's like, wow, those things are not me. I'm not those labels. I'm not a victim. And you don't have to keep telling a story that doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
But if
you're a little bit, I don't know if you need to move the phone. It's like there's, like, I don't know if it's wind or there's just this noise that's coming through a little bit, darling.
Oh, that's the angel on my shoulder saying hi.
Tell them to shut up.
Okay, well, I just flicked them off. But yeah, I was just explaining that for me, I do not tell the story that I used to. The story that I was telling myself was ridiculous, and it was really holding me back.
Yeah.
These things that happen are blessings, and it might take a while to realize, but when you understand the three principles, everything that's going on pretty much in the moment is okay, because you know you're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So those were the things that really hit me, is personal responsibility. I don't get offended by things anymore, because I know it's none of my business. It's nothing to do with me.
Oh, I love that. It reminds me of a quote. What someone else thinks of you is none of your business.
Exactly. But we spend, you know, and what you said about society as well, you've got all of these models. Well, I said yesterday, all of the models have to look different now. We've gone completely 180 degrees, but society cannot profit from you unless you're miserable, whether that's through antidepressants, through different clothes, the way you look. It's all about spending money. And we don't need anything apart from ourselves.
Yeah. Wonderful. It's so freeing. Like the liberation of this understanding is truly amazing. Thank you, darling. So my friend Mushy, NFT Mushroom, we've been chatting a little bit, and I just asked if he'd come up to speak, and he has gladly agreed. So if he wants to unmute himself, and we can have a little chat.
Yeah, or herself.
Oh, her. Sorry, Mushy. We're such good friends. I didn't know you were a woman.
Well, you're not the only one. It's everybody calls me sir.
Podcast officially cancelled. Well done, Molls. Well done.
No,
I'm sorry for all the times I've
it's
called you he in
no,
DMs.
It's no, it's okay. It's okay. It's like crypto Twitter. Everybody is a guy,
Oh, yeah.
unless I will share a photo later on. But
Oh, yeah, thank you. That would be lovely. How are you?
I'm better. I mean, yeah. So earlier this week, you tweeted something about about your feelings, and I said, I don't feel it at this moment. I was super down, and I told you a bit what happened. And about a week and a half ago, my mother had to be rushed to the hospital. Actually, that was 3 weeks ago, and she had to stay there for like 7 weeks. And in the middle of when everything was going on, and I was traveling between my work and my home and my mother's house and the hospital all week, it was super exhausting. Then the whole Luna thing hit, and I saw my it is a bit of a dream that just evaporates in front of your eyes, and that's just blows away. Yeah, so that is it's hard to accept that the things that you could have done, the things that the plans that you had for your future, or like make yourself a bit more comfortable. It's not an enormous amount, but for me, I'm a single woman, and I have to work full time. It was sort of like my ticket to freedom in a way. Like, okay, I've got this. And then, so it was a super hard time. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for speaking.
Thank you.
No, I'd like to carry on talking to you. I totally get that the initial thing as it happens, and I know you lost a good portion of what you've gained through crypto, because and then obviously with your mum being sick, and I know how difficult the last couple of weeks have been for you. But again, I'm not discounting. I totally get that, but can you see in your head how a lot of those things, take away your mother being sick, but the losing the money was the plans that you had were just ideas. It was thought again. So you had these thoughts that you turned into something real, a belief. They didn't exist. There was nothing. There was no reality there. It was all part of the illusion that you created. And actually, what you've actually lost is an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there will be things that you take out of this time that will make you stronger, that will give you a better understanding of who you are, that will really change your ideas about life and about experience. So it again, and I know it's difficult, but if you can begin to see it as a neutral experience, and you can subtract your emotion from it, and then you can take what you need from it. Do you see how you still, and it may not look possible right now, but I absolutely know, and if you've been listening to this call, I know that we're full of absolute infinite possibilities, and nothing's set, nothing's stuck, so that you actually have the possibility to make all that back and more. Yeah. Can you see that?
Well, not 100% right now.
Okay.
But I have decided, since the conversation that we had, and I listened to the podcast from last week, is that I decided, like, I need to take matters more in my own hands, because this is something that, overwhelms you. But if there would be something that you do that you can have more control over your emotions, over the path you're following, then you feel more in control. So I have decided that I would focus more on that. I've spent so much time in this crypto space.
Yeah.
And that is what I felt worst about. One thing about the money, but the time and the effort and the things that you have missed because you were constantly focused on this, it takes over your mind and your life. I know that there are a lot of people that are 24/7 on Twitter and on crypto, and and there are other things in life. So I have decided that not to be so involved in it anymore, and decided a bit more that I would, make my own path.
Perfect. Perfect. See, again, it's like there's something. It's giving you something.
Yeah.
There'll be gifts. Everything that looks bad has a gift within it. It may not be a gift we want to give to others, but it's a gift for us. So to begin to see that, and to begin to see, what I really want you to know, Mashi, is that you have everything within you that you need. All this outside stuff, great, yeah, of course. We want to have an easier life or some material things, but to wake up to who you are, to see again back to this being that we were talking about earlier, and to see that everything comes from you, then you can weather any storm. You will see that it isn't circumstantial. Your well-being isn't circumstantial. Now, that's a powerful place to be, because if you put all your well-being onto your circumstances or your crypto balance or whatever it is, that, when that's taken away from you, suddenly your well-being's gone, your peace of mind is gone. It's like your life collapses. But if you can see it differently, if you can begin to understand this and see, I've already got it all within me, everything that I need, this is all just play. The world is play.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I can go play, and what I win, and what I lose, I lose. That's the game of life.
Yeah.
Then that well-being, that inner peace, that can't be taken away. That's yours. That's your birthright. That belongs to you.
Mm-hmm.
So become more aware of that. Explore that. Get to know that a bit more, because then everything that happens in life becomes much easier to deal with. And as I've said, last week, every week, we still have things to deal with.
Yeah.
So does that help? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. It's just something that you need to realize.
Yeah.
And that is really difficult, but yeah.
What I can say to you, Mashi, is that if I think obviously I teach this, I have a lovely understanding of the teaching. And if you said to me, you can have 10 Bitcoin and I will take away everything you know about the three principles and everything you've learned about your inner being and life, I wouldn't take the crypto. There's probably not even any amount. What I know means so much to me. What I know will get me through life. It has put me in touch with my inner being. It has really helped me mentally. It's done so much for me that there's so much that money can't buy in what I've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So when I work with someone, I know when they've seen it, because I say to them like okay, 5 million, and I take away what I've taught you, and they go, no, sorry, no. It's like it's too valuable. The knowing and the peace of who you are is so incredibly enriching to life, much more enriching than anything material could ever be. And you may not feel that yet, but I'm gonna carry on DMing you, and you're gonna keep listening to us, and I'm gonna send you some book links, and there'll be that point. You will have that point where you go, okay, I get this, and you might even look at what's happened to you as a gift, because it's shown you something deeper about who you are.
That's beautiful. Yes, thank you.
You're more than welcome. Lots of love to you. Thank you for coming on and speaking as well. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's stay in touch.
Yes, let's do.
Okay, darling. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was really lovely to hear, Mashi. And the one thing that I got from it, and the one thing that you'll get to by staying in the conversation, Mashi, is that you don't need anything to be okay. You are already whole and perfect, and no money, no relationship, nothing is really going to change that, because you don't need anything. And also the other thing I've really learned is that there's nothing to let go of, because there's nothing to hold on to. And when you just allow the things to come in and out of your life, it's a really peaceful place, because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You obviously love what you do. I can feel your passion. So just keep doing it. I think you're amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gem. Yeah, thank you. And happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, James. I'll be speaking to you, but yeah, everyone. When is it? Can I tell everybody it's Saturday?
Well, you just did, so there we go.
We
So
all
if
have a
anyone
wish.
wants to find me, they can. It's not that hard, but please don't.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, and there's this quote that's just come up that I think is really appropriate as well. That these future ideas that we have about how life should look, and when we don't live up to it, when life doesn't live up to our projection of how it should look, and we beat ourselves up, and there's nothing there. It's all made of thought. It's all the illusion. So this is an Alan Watts quote. The future is a concept. It doesn't exist. As the proverb says, tomorrow never comes. There is no such thing as tomorrow, and there never will be, because time is always now. And that's one of the things we discover when we stop thinking. We find that there is only an eternal now. And I'm sure some of you know Alan Watts, but if you don't, go check him out. Like, amazing speaker and an amazing understanding. James, I think we're coming near to the end, and I just would like to, see what you've got to say, but also talk a little bit about our proposal that we have with Colt at the moment to have a little bit more funding for the project.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, we had a couple of questions, but they were more to do with basically what Mishy's asked. So I think they've pretty much been answered. So yeah, really excited about the Colt proposal. We've worked on it really quite hard. The manifesto is amazing, and yeah, explain it to everybody because you've done most of the legwork, and it's pretty incredible. I'm really excited.
Yeah, thank you. So Colt it is a project that funds other projects. It's really interesting, really, really cool. I think if you can go and check them out on Twitter and then go to their website or their Discord or their Telegram, and it's at We Are Cult Dao, DAO. So I found them quite a while ago, but it was only recently that I saw that they had this funding for projects that were doing good in communities. So we decided to put forward a proposal. That proposal is for this project to get some funding so that we can get some more help, get some professional help with the website, with editing. As you know, we've gone on to Spotify, and we feel that Gem and I have kind of got to this place where we are with the project really organically, and we feel like it'd be really, really good to get some more help with it. So that's part of the reason. Another part of the reason is to have a fund to help to work with people that don't have any money, because obviously not everybody can afford to go and get mental health help. So there's different areas where this funding will help. So we've put a proposal forward. It's very, very interesting. You have a guardian, and the guardian can't vote on the proposal, but they put it forward. And then I think the guardians are the top 50 holders of the project. And we were very, very lucky. We have Jeff on here, who is our guardian. And then those top 50 can't vote on the proposal going forward and being accepted, but everybody else that holds the coin and stakes it can. So far, our proposal is being accepted. We have, I think, until Sunday to see if we go through or not. If we do, we get the funding that we really need. And yeah, it will be really exciting for the project to see where it goes. So if you do hold Colt and you do stake it, please vote for us. I really do think this project is incredibly valuable. I know I probably am biased, but I really think that sharing this with the world freely, getting people to understand who they are, and really have an awakening experience, and to, come back to their mental well-being. People are very lost in this world. People are, especially over the last couple of years, it's been very intense for people's minds, and they've been struggling. And, there isn't enough help out there. If anything, unless you've got money, it's pretty non-existent. So we're trying to provide something for people, for our community in crypto and beyond. We don't want to limit it to just this space. This project is for humanity, and again, we don't know how far it can go. We don't know how wide it can spread. We have no idea. But as I said earlier, Gem and I will come from our being. We will do the best that we can for people, and the project will do what it's meant to do. but obviously, you know, Gem and I aren't particularly rich to keep funding it. So we're really appreciative of Colt, and we really hope the proposal gets passed, and that we can really kind of then spend the next few months really pushing forward and just seeing what happens and seeing where it goes. So thank you to Jeff, who's on here, for being our guardian. We really appreciate you. And we are doing an AMA with them tomorrow night about the project, I think at 9 o'clock on Spaces. So we'll be chatting a little bit more in depth about what the project is tomorrow. So if you can join us, please do that. And again, just thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being here. You know, we couldn't do it without you. You're all amazing. Stay in the conversation. If you've heard something, just keep going. You know, dig in deeper. We've got, you know, I think Jem put, we've got over 24 hours of podcasting now that is available to listen to. We have book lists. We're both available in DMs to chat to. And yeah, there is somewhere to go if you're struggling. You know, that there is hope, there is help. So but I'd really just like to kind of share that with everybody.
And Molls, sorry, but you don't give yourself enough credit. That the work that goes on behind this is so much more than just a space every week. The conversations that we have with the community, and we want to be doing things like retreats. We want to be able to have training sessions for traders. We want to be able to do all of this, and we've got lots and lots of plans. And yeah, really happy that you're all here, and thank you, Jeff, for helping us with this. We really, really appreciate it, and so excited about tomorrow and going to see what happens on Sunday. And yeah, all of your help is really appreciated, and something's changing in the world. And if I feel like we can really not lead it, but really share. And it's working. We've got some brilliant feedback, and it's not just crypto people that are involved. That's how it started, but it's kind of rippling to everybody, which is what we want. So yeah,
And
just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Jem. Honestly, Jem does all the tech. I am technically inept, so Jem does all the podcasts, and actually, yeah, I actually credit to both of us. I worked on the proposal all
we've
weekend.
wangled it. We really have. Neither of us knew what the hell we were doing, but it's worked, and it probably isn't as professional as it could be, but I'm really proud of what we've done. And I'm freezing. I'm stood outside, but I don't care. This is what is in my heart, and it's beautiful and it's amazing. And just thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. We really do appreciate everybody that listens here or on the recording, or the little donations that we get, the messages of support, the retweets, any of it. It's let's build this community, let's build it from love, let's build it from being, and let's create a different world. Let's create a better world, and that happens from inside us. Okay. So that's what we're teaching here. It's all inside us, and that's where we need to go.
So thank you again for all being here. We've got our website, which is www.theunmindingproject.com. We'll be back next Thursday, and if you guys have got any topics or suggestions or questions, please let us know, because we want to give you guys what you want. So yes, any help is greatly appreciated. Please share the project, as it's going to be quite exciting over the next few days to see what's going to happen with Colt. And yeah, if we've helped in any way, then please just tell the world, because that's what we need. And we love you lots, and we will see you next week. And Molls, this has been a great one. At the beginning, I was, quite nervous, and I just feel like if this isn't the epitome of unminding, then what is?
Perfect.
I love you. Thank you.
I love you too. I love everybody. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.